Hello and welcome to this week's edition of the Rap Podcast with me, Lee G. Joining me, as always, is Harley, James, Jamie. I've just seen what you're holding up, Jamie. So, yeah, very much a YouTube thing. Good evening, gents.
Evening.
Good evening.
Hello.
Good evening.
We'll we'll introduce our guest and then we'll come back to what you're holding up, Jamie. So, joining us this evening is Italian podcast superstar, I guess you'd class yourself as now, my
Nice.
friend.
Oh, I like that. Sounds
Is
good.
Marcello, how's it going, mate? How's it going?
Yeah, it's as you can imagine, it's very good, boys. It's very good. Ahead of what is my family's derby as such. Welsh dad, Italian mum. They come to blows on Saturday once again. So it's always an interesting one, but yeah, it's hard to be not feeling pretty chuffed after the weekend we've just had.
So, just so everyone on the listening on the podcast knows, so you've got this season's shirt, isn't it? That you've got on.
No, this is actually an Italian A team shirt from 2000, and it's actually got a signature. I've been trying to track down who's this top. I want it in a I want it. It was gifted actually a Worcester Warriors thing I was doing a couple of months ago, and I was gifted this by one of the people that runs it, and it was actually it's a match worn shirt from a game at Six Ways back in 2000 when Italian A played England A or something. I've been trying to track down whose shirt it is, but can't do it for love nor money. I think I might know who it is, but can't be sure. But yeah, it's very old, but cool.
It's so you've got a signed shirt with no idea who signed it. I like. I mean, you could just make anyone up, couldn't you? You could pick any half decent player from there and just go, look, it's one of them.
Sergio Parise's shirt from.
See, I'm really glad you brought that up because I've spent the last 10 minutes trying to figure out what year that jersey's from.
Yeah, it's an old, very old
jersey.
It's a lovely jersey, isn't it? Fair play.
It is. Sometimes the plain and simple ones are just they just hit the button, don't they? So
yeah, I just love the I love the kappa as well. It's the kappa why I love it.
Yeah. Okay, well, we'll talk all things Italian in a minute, but first of all, so let's introduce Jamie's friend. Should we call him Wally the Wooden Spoon, James? Do you want to give the wooden spoon a name, or is it just
kind of Wayne?
Wayne.
Yeah, let's call it Wayne. I was just being facetious and holding up a wooden spoon just for cheap laughs, but that's what this game is. It's a wooden spoon decider, and it's massive, isn't it? It's massive for both teams. So let's embrace it, I say. Let's embrace the chaos and let's embrace the spoon. Because we'll probably have a good chance.
We could come third.
I know.
No wooden spoon.
Mathematically, you could.
Wooden spoons are a thing of the past, boys. Thing of the past.
Think yourself.
Right.
Confidence is high, isn't it?
Yeah, I think we're going to need this next bit more than any other section in the pod. Let's do drink of the week now, and let's. I hope you've all got strong ones. Let's start with Harley. Evening, Harley. Good evening. What have you got, mate?
So I've decided to sort of go more towards my roots. So I've got something from Glamorgan Brewing Co. So this is their Welsh Pale Ale. So this is a 4.3 for the nosers who like their alcohol percentages. And then what we're all here for is the hashtag Wanky Bollocks.
Wanky Bollocks, yeah.
A super drinkable pale ale designed for long afternoons down the local. With notes of citrus and tropical fruit, Welsh Pale is easygoing, approachable, and impossible to resist, which is completely unlike anyone else I know from Glamorgan.
Talk about shitting on your doorstep. Well done, eh? Yeah. James, what have you got, mate?
So I've got it's called Glide Naper, very fancy. It's one of them ones like a coarse can, so you've got good grip while you're holding it. 7% tropical hazy IPA. It's got a collaboration. It's a collaboration beer. So it's the Wanky Bollocks is a collaboration with Drop Project Brewing Co., known for pushing creative boundaries and creating beers that inspire their passions for the industry and their lifestyles. Glide is a 7% New England IPA bursting with tropical sweetness on the nose. The combination of Mosaic, Simcoe, and Strata hops, dark resin with beautifully exotic passion fruits. and strawberry tones. A silky smooth mouthfeel helps with drinkability, providing a moreish, refreshing experience.
This is wanky bollocks, isn't it?
Think dank and bingo with fruit tones of kiwi, strawberry, passion fruit, a little pine for balance.
That deserves a round of applause for the amount of
you chastised me for having like no drinks the last couple of months, and I've come out with two absolute bangers recently.
That's knocking it out of the park, that is, mate. Right. So, Marcello, have you got a drink of the week with us?
Well, I'd love to say that I do, but I've cleared out my Italian lager from the weekend. I overindulged on Saturday, so I've been left with absolutely nothing. So unfortunately, my drink of the week is pure and simple water to deal with the hangover still that is carried on into Monday.
I mean, I think we can forgive you for that one. I think, you can get away with that one.
Yeah, no wanky bollocks from me, I'm afraid.
Jamie, what drink have you got to accompany your wanky bollocks?
I have got from Mumbles Brewery, Mumbles Mile. It's a session bitter, 4%, very light. Not a lot in the way of wanky bollocks, but it says light in colour, but malty starting flavours and big on Chinook hop flavours, which delight and linger well for a session bitter. I don't know if you've had this one before. Have you tried the Mumbles Mile?
I've had a
before?
Mumbles Brewery. I was down on the Mumbles Mile a couple of weeks ago, actually. Really nice restaurant down there. But no, I haven't tried that one.
It's nice. I think you'd like this. It's very light. It's malty is a good word to describe it. A very malty beer. But yeah, it's perfectly fine. And this is from Wales Ales, of course. I got beer club delivery coming tomorrow, so I'll have brand new beers for the pod as well. So yep, that's my beer of the week. Mumbles Mile.
So I look forward to the bit when Jamie gets his monthly delivery of beer now. I think I bet they pick out the special ones for you as well. Let's find the ones that's got the proper wanky bollocks on.
Absolutely. I need more beers like James has got, really. I want more wanky bollocks like that.
It's nice. It's very good.
That Salt Brewery, though, that's where I had that soured beer from. And that still sticks in my memory. That's still a bad memory. So my one this week is Glamorgan Brewing as well. It's called the Dead Canary IPA, 4.5%. Well-hopped IPA with a properly refreshing bitter finish, brewed to honour the coal miner canaries that made the ultimate sacrifice. The liquid eulogy is a knockout. I don't know if there are dead canaries in it, or it's just to honour it, or there's some kind of, but how you honour dead canaries with a beer, don't know.
I've had that beer on the pod before. You might have remembered. Or one in the early episodes, I had a can of that. It's nice.
But it's got a dead canary on the front. I've only just noted a dead canary on the front. So that's my one for tonight. Right, okay. Let's get down to business. So before we talk about Wales and Italy, let's talk about Italy and Scotland, because I think that was probably one of the best games that I've seen in a long time. So Marcello, over to you, mate. What did you make of Italy Scotland on the weekend?
Well, I mean, it was very similar to, well, not very similar, but I think it was similar in the way that we went into the Welsh game last year when we'd sort of been talked up quite a bit in the week. We'd obviously drawn in France the week before, should have won the game. So I think there's an element of expectation and pressure on us. And I think 15 minutes in, when we find ourselves, we've conceded 2 tries, especially the first one quite quickly, you're thinking a little bit of, oh goodness, have we shot ourselves in the foot here? Have we gone too soon? But then we score the first try and we kick a few penalties to keep it in. And then at half time, we're thinking, we're still in the game here. What was it? 6 points difference at half time. And we're thinking we've not played brilliantly, but we're still in the game. And we've looked in up parts quite dangerous. A couple of key moments. I think, if Christie gets away and Brex doesn't track back and make that tackle and win that penalty, that could have been a different story. Similarly, in the second half, if, their try they score right after half time, they score that and they, open up what would have been about a 13, 14 point lead. Again, could have been a different story. But other than that, I thought it was, especially in that second half, a really, really good performance that was not based on fluke. It wasn't a shock. I'm not sure if anyone was particularly shocked with how Italy played. Maybe shocked that they won the game, but not with the performance. And I think we've shown enough this Six Nations for people to think that we were capable of doing something at the weekend. But to go and actually do it was a whole different story. That defensive set at the end, when we're under the pump for a good couple of minutes, they go through the phases and they struggle to really make serious inroads. I think we were so, our collisions at the breakdown, the yards we were making, the carries. We played such an aggressive game. We played a organized game. We played in the right areas. We played when we needed to, and we didn't play when we didn't need to. And it just felt like quite an all-round performance. And that's what's the most pleasing thing, that it didn't feel like it was just chaos all the time. It just felt like it was maybe organized chaos at times. But we were just brilliant, and we carried that sort of second half from France. And defensively we look so much better, physical, aggressive, and then we've got out and out world-class players, in my opinion, in our midfield, and our back row was immense again. Yeah, we're just a team that are obviously got a lot of confidence right now, and we're seemingly going in the right direction. And with the under-20s winning at the weekend, and the under-20s doing really well so far in the tournament as well, just feels really good. So obviously we're absolutely chuffed, and it's all about backing that up this weekend again.
So just talk me through the emotional roller coaster. Scotland score their last try and convert it and bring it back to 31-29, and you've got about 3 or 4 minutes on the clock and you're kicking off. So were you hiding behind the sofa? Were you throwing things at the telly? What was it like?
If I'm being honest, I'm a sports journalist by trade, and I was actually covering a game of non-league football on Saturday afternoon. So I actually had the game on my laptop whilst I was watching. So I was simultaneously watching, but luckily the timings were such that the last 15 minutes were in the halftime break of the football. So I was able to just watch it. But obviously I was surrounded by people that had no idea what I was watching and why I was kept punching the air at random points. No one was really understanding what was going on. And when the full-time whistle goes up and I'm standing up in the air, punching the air and shouting this, that, and the other, and people looking around at me thinking, what on earth is this bloke doing? But do you know what? Maybe it's where I was in the situation I was, but I think when Scotland scored that try, I didn't feel hugely panicked. I thought we were controlling that. I think when Garbisi kicks that final penalty and we go, 9 points up, I honestly at that point thought we'd won this game. I didn't think we were going to lose then. And I think obviously Scotland worked their way forward. We managed to, Carl Dixon tried his best to award a penalty try sort of towards the end, which ultimately didn't really make any difference. They scored under the post anyway and get a 7-pointer, so it didn't really make too much difference. But there, I think if Scotland had scored maybe a couple of minutes before, I would have been a bit more nervous. But I think given the time they scored, I felt like we were capable of playing 2 minutes defence. It ended up being a little bit more than that, and maybe it was a little bit squeaky bum towards the end. But I actually massively backed us to defend that and get the win, and we did.
Yeah, absolutely. So in terms of Wales then, would you say that Italy now go into this game as favourites? Would you be comfortable with the favourites tag, or do you still see Wales as favourites being in Cardiff? Because we know Italy can win there. They have won there. So how do you see it going into this game? Are Italy the favourites, do you think?
No, 1000%. I just think you can't go. I know France haven't been all, they've been massively disappointing. But they're still France with the players they've got, the quality they have, the experience they have. And when we saw that especially towards the end of that game at the weekend, that they've still got, world-class stars, haven't they, all around the pitch. And for us to have gone there, kept them to 13 points, should have won the game. We all know that.
Yeah.
And to then back that up against a Scotland team that people were thinking, Scotland are going to go to Italy. They need to win so that they can try and win the tournament come next weekend. So for us to do what we did to France and then turn over that Scottish side, which was it was a full strength Scottish side, maybe one or two, maybe not necessarily even that they sort of rested anybody. They knew what was coming. They knew they had to play their strongest team. They did, and we turned them over. So I don't think we can get those two results and go into a game with Wales, who have in the last couple of years been sort of on a gradual decline, that we don't go into that game as favourites, even if it is Cardiff. I mean, that's probably the one factor that might make it a little bit more even in terms of an actual bookmaker's sense. But no, I'm very comfortable, and honestly, I want that favourite tag because we had that against Wales last year in Rome and we didn't perform and we were really disappointing. This year it's about us beating Wales,
Yeah.
even beating Wales well, and making sure we finish as high up in the table as possible. That's the goal, that's the aim. And this side at the moment are just flying confidence wise, so they go to Cardiff with massively confident, and we're all really expecting Italian win, and that's what we need. We need to have that little bit of pressure on us because that's what's going to ultimately help us go even further. So I'm massively happy and confident with the favourite tag.
Absolutely. You've got to embrace it, haven't you? You've got to embrace that favourites tag.
Absolutely.
What's been the big change then in the Italian defence? Because I think we've all seen the Netflix documentary by now, and you've got Crowley and that defence coach who didn't know the Italian players' names pulling his hair out about falling off tackles and the lack of physicality, because we know Italy got physical players, right? You've got like Lamaro, Brex, Marcello, these really physical players, but in defence has always been a massive issue. So what's changed there?
Well, I think we were all well aware that when Quesada came in, we knew that he was very much more of a defensive coach. If you look through his career so far, he has placed a lot more emphasis on defence and being a strong team and being hard to beat. And when he first arrived, a lot of what he spoke about was coming in and harnessing what Italy had under Crowley and what had been developed in the last sort of 18 months, 2 years, and bringing that forward and bringing that defence into that. So not trying to take away too much from that style, because we've obviously really benefited from being that team that likes quick ball, wants to play and, play from everywhere. Quesada comes in and I think has been mindful of saying, yeah, that's great. We're going to keep doing that, but we're going to do it in the right areas of the pitch. We're going to play a little bit more sensibly. There's going to be a bit more of an emphasis on defence. And I think, in Menoncello and Brex, like you said, who are, and Brex as well, he leads that defence. And as a 13, he makes sure that, you can all see how well he defends, and Menoncello as well. They're not just sort of good defenders. They are aggressive, they almost attack with defence, if you know what I mean. And we sort of use that to help us play in our attack. So Quesada's obviously had a massive influence, and Goosen as well. I mean, you saw him at the end, he was absolutely chuffed, and he will have worked really hard on that. And obviously this will be his last game at the weekend before he departs as well. So I think they've obviously worked really hard on that. But for sure, it's been something that Quesada was always going to come in and make us harder to beat and make that defence stronger than it has been.
Sort of switching on to the other side of the ball then. So what do you think are the big things in attack that's if improved with Italy? I mean, for me, one thing I found is the Pedrello, the scrum half who's been starting the last few games. I think he's been a bit of an eye opener, and at least in the game management and getting you to play in the right areas.
Well, he's French. I mean, that helps because, yes, the French are sort of, especially nowadays, they're similar in the way they like to attack, but they make sure they do it in the right areas as well. And they're obviously very well coached in France, and he plays and has played in the top 14. He knows what he's doing. I think maybe what we've lacked a little bit in nines is confidence to run a game, confidence to organise the game. And Pajarello obviously does that when he plays with France. He plays with big forwards, and he's used to that. And that's maybe what we've lacked. And he is obviously that, but also he has that little bit of flair. I mean, we've seen it in the Champions Cup as well a little bit. Some of the sort of the skills he has. So he definitely helps. I think Garbisi as well has had a really good tournament. I think there have been some questions asked about him and does he play enough games at 10 where he was with Montpellier. Now he moves to Toulon and hopefully maybe play a bit more at 10. And it just seems to have clicked a little bit more. If I'm being totally honest, it seems to be the confidence is there, and that makes a big difference. You know, when you're in a confident mood, things work. I mean, it was working last year. You know, in an attacking sense, it was just doing it in the wrong areas of the pitch. You know, you can't. In international rugby, it's very difficult to play from your own 22 and expect to win games. It's very unlikely. So, Quesada's come in and made sure that we changed that up a little bit. And the thing is now we have genuine ball carriers. We have genuine players that when they carry the ball will make yards. You know, Lorenzo Canone, who came on at the weekend, he's been injured. He makes yards. He's aggressive. Ross Vincent as well. He's quick. He carries hard. Menoncello, Brex, Seb Negri is probably the leader of that sort of give me the ball and I'm going to run into you as hard as I can. I'm going to make yards every time. So we've now got, you know, 4 or 5 massive ball carriers, and that's what we hugely lacked. And I dare say maybe it's something that Welsh rugby, especially in the international scene, has struggled with in terms of having those players that you can just give the ball to and they'll just make you yards. And when you have that basis of being on the front foot and being behind the gain line, it makes everything so much easier. And we've always known that we have the quality and the ability to play. But now that we've got those players that can get us on the gain line and get us on the front foot, that makes a huge amount of difference.
Yeah, absolutely. And, you know, with Italy coming to Cardiff this weekend, I don't know about you, Marcel, I think this is the strongest Italy team in years. I mean, you look at your back three now, you got Capuzzo, Louis Liner, Monty. That's a terrific and dangerous back three, isn't it? Your centre partnership, Brex and Menoncello, have been fantastic. I think one of the best centre partnerships in the tournament. But where do you think are the areas that Wales can target? Do you think Wales can target certain areas? Like, where are Italy still vulnerable, do you think?
It's a good question, actually. I mean, we've been so focused on how well we've improved and stuff. We sometimes don't think necessarily about where we can be. I still think that I'm never hugely confident still with Capozzo under the high ball. I still don't know if.
Okay.
Sometimes some people say let's play him on the wing, and he certainly plays there quite a lot club-wise. As a 15, he's still a small man. You know, you look at him and he looks like a boy still. And yeah. I think teams will still try and look at that. And I don't think Monty is brilliant under high ball either. We saw that at the weekend. You know, there was a couple of times when that ball gets thrown up and he's not particularly there. And Lewis Liner, that back three is still a little bit inexperienced in terms of working together as a back three. So I do expect Wales to kick the ball a lot. There's some doubts over whether Ioane will play. He might not be fit. Cafuat's also had his finger sort of repositioned in that game as well at the weekend. So I don't know whether he might also miss. But I think Wales kicking the ball and trying to get in behind Italy and target those areas is probably sort of the obvious one for me. Otherwise, I don't want to sound too cocky, but I'm sort of thinking not entirely sure. I mean, Wales have been very effective at the breakdown. I guess that's probably where they'll try and hurt us. So maybe sort of the breakdown with Wainwright and Rafal, who've been really, really, you know, been brilliant. And I think that they'll try and isolate us and they'll try and kick as well to compete. I think that's probably where they'll look to hurt Italy.
I like the bit where you go, I don't want to sound too cocky. Yes, you do. Yes, you do. Yeah. Make the most of it.
That is me. Yes. Yeah.
But you can't blame him, can you? Come on.
It's true. It's you know, we're not coming up against Ireland here or France or, you know, even as the tournament has progressed, even dare I say it, sorry, England, as much as I don't want to say that, but we are coming up against a team that is massively devoid of confidence. However, having said that, you know, there's a case for me that Wales, Italy, and England have been the three more impressive sides than the other three, in that I don't think Wales have been blown away. I mean, at France at the weekend, it was sort of in the last 15 minutes. I thought in stages, there was maybe a moment or two where Ireland were not on the ropes, but Wales were in good positions. Against England, that could have been a win. Against Scotland, that could have easily been a win. I think Wales have, we'll probably go on to talk about it more, but I think Wales have impressed me, and I think obviously Italy have as well, and England to a degree have also impressed in stages. So I think Wales will relish the underdog thing again, and I think there is plenty to like, and what I've seen has been quite encouraging at times from Wales, and that's maybe not what people thought going into it. And I know 4 defeats from 4 doesn't sit right, does it? But there's an argument that could have been different. So it's by no means a walk in the park. And Wales have got a lot more wins in the Six Nations than Italy have, and in the last 10 years have won the thing a lot of times. So we're coming up against a side, especially in Cardiff, and we still don't win a lot away from home. I know we won the last time we came to Cardiff, but so there is that. There's the mental side of things as well, and there's Wales being at home, and there's been lots of positives, and there's quite a lot of encouragement. So that's also something we have to deal with.
So you mentioned the under-20s, and the under-20s competitions are very close to my heart. And I've just been, while you're talking, looked at 2 games that I remember in the under-20s, Italy versus Wales. Both happened in 2020. Oh no, one in 2022, one in 2020. And you can see now that there's a real conveyor belt of just talent coming out of that under-20s team. So if I go to the under-20s one, and we brought this up on the Ospreys pod the other week, but you've got Lucchesi, Zuliani, Lorenzo Canoni, Varney, Garbisi, Mori. It's just a conveyor belt of talent. And even in 2022, you had Ross Vincent, you had Lorenzo Pani, Alessandro Garbisi, and then my favourite player from Italy, or coming out of it, is David Odiase, who's at Oyonnax, I believe, right now. Who's just, if he has a Welsh grand, I'd get him over here in an instant. But how confident are you in the future of Italian rugby, knowing that you have 2 strong club teams who are well funded, and then 2 very strong academies that are churning out just world-class talents?
Yeah, I mean, the under-20s have been performing well for a number of years, and I think a couple of years ago the question is, why are the under-20s so good and the senior team is so not so bad, but why the results why the players not coming through, why the results not there. In the last couple of years, that started to happen. The senior side started to improve, and like you said, there are a lot of players that are coming through the under-20s and are be given a chance. This Italian squad is the youngest in the Six Nations in the first team. The youngest one there. It's probably the least experienced of the whole 6. And to be where we are, with that in mind, is huge. That is the most encouraging thing about everything involved with Italian rugby at the moment. Is that team is so young, and they're all just going to grow together. They're all going to grow together. They're all at a similar sort of level. They're just going to progress. In years to come, this team will be 5 years on. A lot of these players will be 5 years older and arguably at their peak. Moncello is 21, which is just bonkers. That guy is 21, and for me, already one of the best centres on the planet. Genuinely, I think he could get into any side. It's all about these players. You don't know what will happen to them in their careers. They might have a horrific injury. Jake Pelledri, we thought would go on and win 100 caps for Italy and be one of the best players we've ever produced, but has injuries that rule him out for years on end. So anything can happen. But at 21, you look at someone like Moncello and just go, my God, if that's what we're producing and that's what we've got to look forward to, then Italian rugby's in great hands. And I think that's the most encouraging thing. The under-18s produce results, the under-20s produce results. Now we're getting to a point where in the last 3 Six Nations, there's a couple of wins, there's a draw, there might be another win here. and there's potentially the highest finish of an Italian side in Six Nations to come as well. So, yeah, it's massively encouraging, massively, we are very excited. That's the main thing that we're taking from all of this at the moment.
So obviously, 2 years ago, you managed to get the Cardiff monkey off your back, beating us 21-22 in the last play, with possibly one of the most iconic bits of commentary I've ever heard from the Italian broadcasters. How much would a win mean, do you feel, for this Italian side? As you mentioned, it's their chance to become the highest they've ever finished of third. Match only by 2007, 2013, where you finished fourth.
I was thinking about this earlier. I was thinking about what will my reaction be if Italy win, and it will be nowhere near what it was at the weekend. It will be nowhere near what it was when we beat France. It'll be years ago. It'll be nowhere near when we beat Ireland, back in 2015 or whenever it was. It will be. I'm expecting my team to win the weekend. I'm expecting Italy to go to Cardiff and win. And then I was thinking about it from another point of view, and I was thinking, well, you can count on one hand how many times we've won Six Nations games in the past 7 years, and then even less in terms of away wins. So if we win in Cardiff, it should be another, oh my goodness, what a performance, what a result for Italian rugby. But we are expecting Italy to go to Wales and win at the weekend. That is what I'm feeling. And if we don't, I'll be really disappointed. And if we do win, I'll look back and think, well, I'm expecting my team to win. So it's a little bit of a strange one. And also personally, it's not the game it's the game I like the least. But I'm expecting them to win the weekend. So that's how I'm feeling. But when we look at it on the face of it, it will be another huge step in the right direction for us. We never back up a win with another one. It's not how it happens. Our wins come solo, and then we wait another few years for one, and that's how it's been in the past. It was 7 years, 8 years, 7 years without winning a single game. It was just loss after loss after loss after loss. So for us to go back-to-back wins to end the competition would be huge. Finishing potentially third, if things go our way, that will obviously be huge, and our best ever finish, and we'll be able to look at that and be like, wow. And the only way we get there is by beating Wales. So if we do beat Wales, it'll be a massive achievement, not necessarily in terms of beating the opposition that we're coming up against on Saturday, but more going into a game for a second week running with a little bit of expectation. There was expectation last week, but I still think Scotland were obviously the favourites. This week, it's expectation and we're the favourites. So it will be a huge deal psychologically for this squad, this team, to go back to back and also go into a game, spend a whole week being favourites and delivering. That is the big thing for us. And if we can do that, that'll do us the world of good.
And strangely, I think it'll be good for the Six Nations. Mainly, it'll piss off a lot of those people that 2 or 3 seasons ago that were calling for Italy to be removed, and what's the point of them and all that kind of stuff. And like you say, it's come through the under-20s. You can see it building, and yeah, you're in that phase now of actually going into games as favourites. So let's flip that around then. So Jamie, we'll talk about the France game after, but how do Wales prepare for this game now? Where do we go after the France game and then getting ready for this? What do we need to do this week?
Well, Sam Warburton said after the game that to beat Italy, you need an all-court game. And I do agree with him. I just think Wales need to be aggressive. We've got to take it to Italy. I think we need to keep the scoreboard ticking. I don't want to see us turning down pickable points. I want us to keep the scoreboard ticking, put the pressure on Italy. Because, as Marcello said, Italy are coming into this as favourites. So let's put the pressure on them. Let's be aggressive. Let's be positive. Keep that scoreboard ticking and see where we go from here. But I am very wary about this Italian team because our scrum has struggled, as we saw against France. Well, throughout this tournament, our scrum has struggled. And in that second half in particular, our Italian scrum, they had the Scottish scrum on toast. So I'm really struggling to see what areas we are going to target. I mean, Marcello's already mentioned the back three. I think he's right. I think there will be a lot of kicking. We've got to be accurate. We've got to see some control from our halfbacks, which we did have until the replacement halfbacks came on, and we'll talk about that later. We can't be having that again. We need to be physical. They're going to bring a different challenge to France because, we'll talk about later with France, we were overpowered. Italy are not going to bring that same power, so they're a different kind of threat. They're a very good attacking team. And the thing about this Italian side now, they're very structured and they're smart. Before, they're a little bit scattergun. They would fall off their fitness in the last 20 minutes. This is not the same Italian team that we've been used to. This is a very good Italian team. Like I said, our centre partnership has been brilliant. Rex and Melancheno, that back three is dangerous. This scrum is solid. Wales have got it all to do this weekend. They really have.
So, James, talk to me about where we improve in defence, because we know Italy are going to throw everything at us for 85 minutes on Saturday. Are we up to it defensively? I mean, we were talking a little bit before we came on air just about defence and what have you. Where do we need to improve in defence?
So I think if we look at Sunday, right, on the whole, as a team, I think Wales defended all right. Unfortunately, when France is just constantly bringing on big lads, that does wear on you. But you've got sort of similar to like Lamaro in that sense. You've got Dav Jenkins, right, who's making 26 tackles a game, not missing one, still putting in big hits. Beard is making big hits, hitting. So it's about, can we make those tackles, not necessarily dominant, but those tackles on the game line consistently for 80 minutes. I think whoever plays 13 needs to be sharper to how quick Italy can get the ball out to the likes of Ioane or Cavuzzo or Luigi Lainer. You've got all that's where Italy will spring. They love a drawback pass. They're very it's almost like watching a rugby league team at times with Italy. They play really flat to the line. That ball's going out behind them. There's a really, really good deception. It's like rugby league, but it's also a very dumbed down version of what the All Blacks used to play, of just taking it to the line, it's going back, and it creates holes in that midfield. So whoever plays 12 has got to lead that line really well. So I think that's where you play into sort of the Owen Watkin mould of having that defensive leader rather than a Tompkins. But then whoever plays 13, whether it be Roberts or North, has to be, they can't plant their feet, right? If you're talking about that minis rugby coaching, if you plant your feet in defence, it's really easy to go around you. And with how out of form Adams is at the minute, yes, I know he makes his tackles. It could be a long day on that wing. I have no issue with Rio and his sort of tackling ability. In terms of I actually think in the tight, I don't think we should be too worried. I think we do have the physical brawn there to match Italy in the tight. They've got very, very big carriers. I love Negri. I'm loving that front row. They're the workhorses, and they do get post-contact meters, but they don't, like Jamie said, they don't pose the same physical threat as a France do. And they're sort of, Cologne coming off the bench, Taufa Vanua, you've got Moafana, things. They don't pose that same physical threat. All their threats lie in behind, playing off 10, playing off Brex. Brex is, for a big guy, Brex has got a lovely set of hands on him. And he takes that ball to the line really well. And just that drawback is just so deadly. So I think it all comes down to the sentence. So can 12 lead very well, and can 13, basically marshal that outside and force Italy to play, back inside where the big lads are.
Okay.
I think also that how you do that is compete at the breakdown and slow our ball down is obviously key. So you have to have a good day at the breakdown, and obviously you've got the players to do that. And then making sure that Garbisi's put under pressure, don't give him an armchair ride. And at the same time, the centres, it's that sort of 10, 12, 13. Everything revolves around those guys, because either Garbisi, it's going straight to Menoncello. It can go straight to Menoncello, and whether you like it or not, he's going to make yards straight off the top of a line out, or he can just get 9, 12, bang. And then it's quickly recycled. Garbisi's there, first receiver. It's to Brecht. It's going behind him, and then we're on the outside, and that's happened inside sort of 10 seconds. That's how we like to do it. So it has to be slowed down. The ball has to be slowed down. If we're allowed to have quick ball, I am totally confident that we'll be able to get on the front foot, and I think from there we should be able to score lots of points. So for me, looking at it the other side, it's got to slow the ball down. If you can slow our ball down, then that takes away our main sort of, that's how we like to play. So if we don't have that, and we have to think on our feet and we have to change something, that's where I can see us having some problems, because I still don't actually think, not a lot. I mean, in Ireland, yeah, we struggled, but in every other game we've been able to play that way. So it's all about trying to stop us playing that way. That's the key, is slowing us down.
Yeah, just to add to that, Tommy Raphael is being assessed for a knee injury, so he is a doubt for this game on the weekend. And if we do lose him, that is a massive blow. We have got Taylor Basham, but he offers a different kind of threat. We won't get that breakdown ability, but he will offer a ball carrying threat. But yeah, losing Tommy Raphael for this game would be a really big blow. So fingers crossed on him.
It's the kind of game where he'd have he'd want to have a field there, wouldn't he? So Harley, I'm going to ask you about attack, but before I do, does Thomas Williams speak Welsh? Is he fluent? Do you know?
Yes,
he's certain,
but I think he is. I'm pretty sure I've heard him do interviews on S4C.
Because we're in a situation where, let's assume it's the same. Well, even if it's Kieran Hardy, because Hardy speaks Welsh, Thomas Williams speaks Welsh, Gareth Davis speaks Welsh, and Varney speaks Welsh as well. So the slagging off at scrum time could get really, really interesting for the referee who's not got a clue. Whoever it is, they won't be able to understand any Welsh, and you'll just have two scrum halves going at each other in Welsh. That I think could just be a really interesting thing to have on the ref mic and somebody going, only the people watching on S4C will actually understand what's going on, So anyway, so talk to me about where Wales can break Italy down, how we do it, and who do we pray to?
I'll be honest, a lot of it is effectively flipping what we've got to do in defence. We've got to make sure that ball is clean as possible. Dav Jenkins needs to be over those rucks every time. I think we need to start playing the little tip. We need to be playing tip-ons a little bit more, the sort of clever ways to cheat the extra meters. I think someone like Alex Mann, his footwork might come in handy, having that extra mobility in the back row. I mean, we brought Will Rowland. We'll talk about it more in the France game, but we brought Will Rowlands in for physical carrying, and he didn't really do it. He did 12 carries for 11 meters. If you bring us one of a ball carrier, that would do. I think attacking kicks, but things have got to go perfectly. We wasted a lot of opportunities against France, basically by balls not going quite to hand, stupid floated passes over the top. Again, we'll talk about the poor decision. Basically, we need everything to go right. Brex is a fantastic defender of the 13 channel. He can be caught for pace every now and again, but he's usually quite smart to make sure that he's covered himself for that. And with Marcello, he's quick enough to give him a hand. I mean, maybe get bombs over the top, high balls. I think keeping Costello on for 80 minutes. Because I think Johan Loy's ragtag attack, I think players like Negri and Lamara are going to just absolutely love eating his ribs whilst he's dithering.
So what you're saying is you don't know.
I genuinely have no idea how we get past this. I don't think we've got I just don't think we've got the equipment at the moment to play the game. I think we need to go more for the Watkin Joe Roberts centre partnership. I know we're likely to go back to Tompkins and North, and for all the game line busting North does, it's too easy to shut Tompkins down before it gets across. Whereas I think with Watkin having that little bit of a carrying threat, and then out to Roberts, who's got the extra pace and handling ability and kicking game. I know we had a couple of poor ones on the weekend, but for the most part, that gamble worked. Yeah, I think it's just got to be clever, and we've actually got to find ways of manipulating defenses, because Garbisi isn't that terrible. And like with France, where we targeted Ramos because he does not tackle, he does not like tackling. Garbisi loves it, Rex and Menachado love it. Ioane loves it. Like loves it. Like so, you're not going to find any real obviously weak seams.
So I'm going to start wrapping up this bit now. So we got about 10 minutes of Marcello left because he's a very busy boy. He's in demand. There's obviously some kind of Italian party to go to. There's more important, some celebration to go to. So give us what you're expecting from this game on the weekend, and then a prediction, and we'll go around the room and we'll do predictions. So what are you expecting from the game? What are you expecting from both sides? And then a prediction. Then all yours, myself.
It's difficult because I remember coming on this exact podcast last year and talking us up big time, saying I could see us putting 20, 30 points on Wales, which in hindsight really was probably not smart, given that we hadn't actually won a game. There's no real form to speak of there. I just think we've got a lot of things out of the way this tournament in terms of we've got rid of that Rome hoodoo. We've finally won in Rome. We've put in another good performance away from home at France. The confidence of being able to actually get a result. Yes, we should have won, but we didn't lose the game either. Played well against England. Ireland's sort of the only game where we didn't really play particularly well, and we were sort of beaten quite well. The only thing holding me back is pure and simple the fact I've been burnt before saying things. That is literally all that's stopping me from saying that. If you look at the form, if you look at it sort of plainly, the results, the way we've played, the tries we're scoring, and how good the defence is, and you match it up against what Wales can provide, I really struggle to see how we lose. I think what will potentially be our downfall is if Wales can really disrupt our game. The Cardiff crowd, can they get on top of Italy? Can they sort of stir something up, which has happened so many times? I mean, I've been there enough times to know what it's like there. So it's the sort of maybe the psychological thing. Having said that, I just think we've turned a corner when it comes to that, and I think we'll win this game. And I'm not gonna go crazy with it because I'll just look stupid. But I think we'll win this game by 10 to 12 points, and I'll be happy with that. We want to win the game, and we need to show that we can be favourites and go and win the game. So however we do that, if we win the game, I'm happy. What I'd like to see us sort of really stick it on Wales and put in a really statement performance. I think, like I said last year, didn't work out, but there is definitely a world where Italy go to Wales, put 40 points on Wales and win by 20. I can see that happening. We're not leaking a lot of points either. We were very good against France, weren't we? Especially away from home. So I'll go with Italy by 12, and I'll leave it at that.
See, what I'm going to do now is I'm going to go back and find last year's pod and edit out that section and then bring it into this. So it'll go something like, so Marcello, what do you think? Wales by Italy by 20, maybe 30 points, easy, comfortable. Yeah.
This does sound familiar, doesn't it? Because I remember last year you came on the pod, you was very confident then, wasn't it, Marcello, to be fair?
I think I do think there is obviously a much better chance this year, but I really can see Italy being able to put out a really big statement win and people being like, wow, okay, what a way to finish for them. And I don't think anyone would be hugely shocked if we did do that. No. But we've literally never done that. We've never gone away from home and won by anything more. Whenever we win a game of rugby, it's by 1 or 2 points, and it's like, oh my God, going down to the wire. We've never won a game comfortably in a Six Nations. So if we were to go and win by 10 points, that's probably going to be one of our best wins ever in a tournament, if you look at it like that. So Italy by 10 to 12 points. Yeah, that's what I'll go with.
We'll quickly go around the room then, because you've got to go in a minute, mate. So, Jamie, your prediction quickly?
Quickly, I'm going to go Wales by 6. It won't be enough to avoid the wooden spoon, but Wales are going to have to do what they haven't done all tournament. If we're going to beat Italy, we're going to have to put in an 80-minute performance because we haven't seen it. We've played well in patches, we played well in halves, but we need a full 80-minute performance. But yes, I think Wales win by 6, but we'll still get the wooden spoon.
Okay. Harley, your prediction?
I think I know less about this than I do the attack, to be honest. I mean, the one thing I will when we lost in Cardiff 2 years ago, I feel that was more because we were trying to make it more about a celebration of Alan Jones and Dan Biggar, and basically just didn't give a shit about Italy because that was the way Pivot was, and it was the same with that Georgia game. Unfortunately, that was a much better team. This one, I feel like it's particularly it's the strength in depth for me. I feel like as soon as Thomas Williams and Sam Costello go off, we really don't have anyone who can manage a game. We lose an awful lot of it, an awful lot of experience, and there's no one really stepping up. I'm going to say Italy by 3.
Italy by 3. Okay, James.
Have you ever seen that The Dark Knight Rises, where the stadium gets blown up by Bane?
Is that a hope?
That's your prediction, is it?
I've never wanted that to happen more.
The principality to blow up.
No, I'm struggling with this one. I'm going to go Wales by 3. This game is screaming out for a red card. I don't know who it's going to be. I'm just going to say it's like Rob Howley or something like that. Rob Howley's going to get a red card from the coach's box. It's that end of term vibe, isn't it? As a Wales fan, I just could not give a toss anymore. I'm so done with the Six Nations.
You've given up, haven't you? You've given up.
I've properly given up. It's big end of term vibes. Everyone's brought in their Nintendo DSs. The one place I should have said we need to target is that Italian lineup, because it is improved, especially from that Italy game. But it still wasn't perfect against Scotland.
It's not been a tournament.
No, so I think we might see the 3 locks again, and that big emphasis on disrupting that ball. And I think if you can do that, and like Marcello said, slowing that Italian ball down is huge. So I'm going to go Wales by 3, but secretly I'm hoping for the Dark Knight Rises.
Well, given the way my predictions have gone this season, and my complete inability to even pick the winning side, let alone the winning margin, I'm going to go Italy by 1, just because that's the way my season has gone so far, and we're just lucky we're not doing a Scoresley on this. So yeah, Italy by 1. I think it's going to be a really good game, and that's what I hope. I'm a little bit with you on this, James. It's end of season. It's kind of like, okay, let's just enjoy the game. Let's have a party sort of a thing. I think if Italy win, it'll be brilliant for the Six Nations. It's a bit like when the Dragons win. Everybody wants the Dragons win. They just don't want them to beat them. And I've felt the same way about Italy. Everybody wants Italy to beat England.
You're in no position to talk about your team, someone else's team winning right now.
So
exactly.
I'm going to go Italy by 1, but I do just want to see a fantastic game. So with that in mind, Marcello, thank you very much for your time tonight, my friend.
It's pleasure.
Always a
Thank you very much,
Marcello.
But I will say, if I get these predictions wrong again, I'm not coming back next year. Right?
We'll have you back every year.
I'm not doing it. No, it's been a pleasure, boys. All the best for Saturday. May the best team win.
All right,
and you, my friend. All the best, buddy. Ta-da.
Take care. Bye now.
Ciao. Ciao.
Fair dues. He's been on a couple of times, and he is. Because he's got a bit of Welsh and Italian, it puts him in that awkward position, and he comes on with us, and we don't make it any easier for him.
But he was so confident last time. You remember this in the last Six Nations? We had him on. He was really confident. He said he expected Italy to win. They didn't, but this time, they're a different team, aren't they? They're a really good Italian team. So
very different.
It's going to be interesting.
Well, we'll crack on with normal things as we do. So let's have a little bit of news desk then, Jamie. What have we got on the news desk, my friend?
Okay, let's just rattle through these then. So the news we all expected: Rhys Carey is leaving Cardiff for Saracens. The 26-year-old previously played for Saracens, then moved back for Cardiff after just 1 season. So Carey has 20 Wales caps, so he will not be eligible to play for Wales going forward. Quick word on that, Harley, before we move on. How big a loss is that for Cardiff?
huge loss for Cardiff because basically, we complain about Wales not having big ball carriers. Cardiff only really have two, and Carey's definitely gone, and I imagine Tamani will go at the end of the season. So it's, that's going to cause. Plus, also, if you look, really, we've only really played two loose heads all season, and that's Carey and Domachowski. And if Domachowski's away, we're relying on the young gun Rhys Barrett. I know on last week's pod when we had Rush Reese on, he said how excited Rhys Barrett is as a player and how potential, but he thinks it's probably a season too soon. And then there's a young academy lad, and we're really lacking in depth there.
So if Griff Reese says he's a season too soon, he'll be in the Wales squad in the summer.
Hang on, can we save this for your beacon banter?
Yeah, save it for your banter.
Mainly because I actually agree. You believe it or not, I actually agree with James on this point. On a point. Yeah, huge loss. I mean, Saracens, I imagine he's been with the rumours that Makavinapoul's off. That's probably a direct replacement, really. Very good round the loose. Iffy, but sometimes quite good at the scrum.
This is not me slagging Rhys Carey off. He's going into Saracens now. I think it's first choice because there's now 4 first choice. There's now 4 props, loose head props at Saracens. You've got Aroni Maui, Rhys Carey. They've just signed a young 22-year-old from Newcastle, and they've got another one, Tom West. There's 4 props. Carey's really going as a senior prop. So he's got to make the step up now. He's got to, if he can't show it at Sarries, then in a way it's just proved Gatland right, in a sense. We know what he can do ball carrying wise. The ball carrying has never been his Achilles heel. It's been his scrummaging. And yes, I do concede that he's got lightweight second rows and back rows behind him, not exactly giving him the platform to thrive as a loose head prop. But then also two separate national team coaches have questioned his fitness and he's failed to meet targets. And he does get caught out on that defensive line a lot on that inside. And Harley, you highlighted that after the Leinster game. So he's got to now show why he was so highly touted. That's for Saracens originally.
Yeah, I think he'll do well at Saracens. I got a feeling he'll do really well.
I hope he does.
So I think it's a good move. I think it's a good move. It's a loss for Cardiff, but I do think he'll kick on at Saracens.
Yeah, make money. I agree. I agree with you. He's probably been. That's why I said he's probably the direct replacement for Mako, is because they're looking at him as that first choice with Aroni Maui, and I actually think that's gonna be quite a good battle between the two players.
Yeah. Okay, then moving on. Ospreys hooker Lewis Lloyd. He signed a new deal. Lloyd made his debut against Connacht this season and since made 6 appearances. The hooker was a standout performer for Wales under-20s in the recent World Cup campaign. That's good news, James, isn't it?
Yeah, he sort of came out of nowhere, really. There wasn't really any rumblings in the academy. He was he's a Treorchy boy, so that's Cardiff region. Am I right in saying? Cardiff? Treorchy? I think it falls under the Cardiff region.
It's sort of with that Bridgend area, isn't it? Where the Yorkies sort of took over a large part of the Celtic Warriors.
Yeah, but he's very exciting, very athletic. Obviously, he's been thrown in the deep end a bit. Probably shouldn't be playing this season. Should be playing for Swansea RFC, which he has been. But if anyone watched that under-20s World Cup last year, he was a standout in that Welsh pack. So it's just good to have young players signing on. Look, I could come back to this in 3 years' time and he's a fucking bust, but I really hope he's not. There's nothing. He's 20.
Yep. Good news there for the Ospreys. So moving on to the Scarlets then. Dan Davis, he signed a new deal. The 25-year-old made his debut against Exeter back in 2017. And he's gone on to make 62 appearances for the club, scoring 6 tries. I really like Dan Davis, and I'm glad he stayed at the Scarlets. Lee, thoughts on that?
Yeah, I mean, if he can just stay injury-free, he's had a hell of a time with injuries. He's an abrasive player. He's not, he's not the kind of player that kind of sits around and does his hair for half the game, So, he's a great player to have on. Rumour has it that we've got another big signing in the back row to join him as well. And Plumtree isn't far off fitness, so
He'll be
back
for
row.
the Benetton game.
Apparently, yeah. I'm not gonna say it because the sod's law, but yeah, he is just he's a different seven. He's just so abrasive. He's rock solid. When he been there a couple of times and he's walking past you, you think the guy's solid, and then he takes his shirt off and you go, "Oh, fella, whoa, put the shirt back on." Some of us we're still in the winter coverage. He's an animal. He's an absolute animal. So yeah, lovely to have him on.
He was heavily linked to us a few years ago. I think at the end of his last contract, and at the time, I think we were in risk of losing Tipuric. And I was very happy. I'd happily take Dan Davis. A guy I was very good mates with in university, was his lab partner when he was at Swansea. And he just said, he's just a consummate professional. And you thought, yeah, that's exactly the type of player I want. Like you said, Lee, the only concern is that fitness. He's played, and everyone's favourite Cardiff fan tweeted out a statistic about Dan Davis saying he's only played 2,700 minutes of rugby for X amount of appearances. And it is a worry, and you are taking a gamble. But Scarlets have got, assuming you lose McLeod, you've got pure sevens in Davis and Leatherbarrow. That's not a bad young batch of sevens to have, with Ben Williams then, who's sort of that can play a bit of both.
Yeah,
that's not a bad batch. And then you've got Jesus himself in the under-18s.
Absolutely, he'll be through in a couple of seasons. By the way, Treorchy is kind of north of Bridgend, so it does fall on. It's up by kind of Tonopandi and Aberdares. It kind of falls in that awkward position of, we used to be Warriors, but now we don't really have a home, and Cardiff isn't a region, so we'll sign for the Oscars. So yeah, there we go.
Pretty much, yeah.
Anything else, Jamie?
Yeah, some shit news, I'm afraid. So Wales under-20s captain Harry Ackerman suffered a lower leg injury against France under-20s at the Arms Park. He had successful surgery last week, and he's targeting the start of next season for his return. So, very nasty injury. I know Harley was there at the Arms Park, and our best wishes go out to him. But the curse of the Dragons injury has struck to the Wales under-20s, because, of course, Ryan Woodman, Wales under-20s captain, he got ruled out, and now it's another Dragons player who's been ruled out as well. So it's really shit news for the Dragons in particular as well. So, as I said, best wishes go out to him for a speedy recovery. Just before I wrap up, I want to give a shout out, because I think this has gone under the radar a little bit. I want to give a shout out to Richie Pugh's Wales under-18 side, who backed up their victory against Scotland a week earlier at Ystrad with a very impressive 27-19 win against Ireland under-18s in Dublin on Sunday. It took a while for the WRU to put out a match report about this, apparently, but they've now done one, and that's a very good result. So it's been a tough weekend for Welsh rugby. We saw the under-20s get hammered by France. We see Wales suffer a heavy defeat on Sunday, but some light amongst the gloom on the weekend, with Wales under-18s getting a very good win out in Ireland.
Cool. So, talking about light in amongst the gloom, James, let's have your beef and banter for this week, mate.
So my first beef is people who on podcasts want to drop Rio Dyer.
Yes, what a dickhead! Who would say such a thing?
For then him to fucking score an amazing solo first try and make him look like a right twat.
Complete the sentence though. The sentence was, I dropped Rio Dyer to bring those two in. Yeah, but I also said it'd be really harsh on Rio Dyer because I didn't think he put a foot wrong. So
but you also said the words, I would drop Rio Dyer.
Yeah, I just wanted two big wingers in. That's all I wanted.
Another Leachy classic.
Yeah, fuck it. The season I'm having, boys.
I do think you underestimate how physical Dyer is. He's actually an incredibly physical winger, despite looking quite like, he looks about 50 kilos soaking wet. He is actually quite a strong lad.
That's because he's tall, and he's quite tall. He's quite lanky.
Yeah. Rio Dyer is everything I wanted Ashton Hewitt to be when he first came through.
Yes. That's exactly what I was thinking,
it's probably not Giles, because Giles is a lot smaller, a different player, but probably what Giles could have been as well, in that just really quick winger, so physical. Giles is a really physical player, as is Hewitt, but then Hewitt, both of them two have suffered like horrendous injuries. And then Dyer's come onto the scene now, and he's just everything that I wanted that winger to be. And I said in the chat that he will be a test lion, one way or another. He's exactly what Andy Farrell, I think, would want from a hard-working winger. And my second beef then, as I alluded to earlier, is this is not on Evan Lloyd as a player. Evan Lloyd is going to be a very good player by all accounts, right? And the things I've seen from him. He should not have been in that situation on Sunday where he's coming off for his first cap, right? He has played 148 minutes of professional rugby before Sunday. He has never started a professional game of rugby in his life. That's not at Cardiff nor under-20s level. Why? I get it, right? I get it with Winnett, Mann and Martin, right? The other three Cardiff boys, right? Winnett is on form, deserves to be in that squad. Didn't have a great game Sunday, but that's by the by. Alex Mann, you can see the makings of something there. And as Leah said, if he puts on a bit of timber, there's a makings of a very good six there. And Mackenzie Martin is a genetic freak, right? And that appeals to Gatlin. Harley has said multiple times that he feels that Morse should be called up. Gatlin doesn't want Morgan Morse. He wants a genetic freak who's going to go in at 8 and is just going to run at people. And that's what Martin is.
He's playing at 8.
No, but that's what Gatlin saw that, and it's like Simon Cowell when he saw a boy band in the 2000s, dollar signs just went in his eyes like that. That's what I guarantee that's what Gatlin thought when he saw Martin. But my point is, you've got your blood in youth for the sake of blood in youth, right? In a position like front row, right, I know how dangerous it is, and I've played with boys like this season. I'm at my shit level in fucking Sussex, Hampshire League, whatever, right? If you put boys in the front row who are too green, who are too raw, right, they are not going to develop and they are going to get hurt, right? There are other options as well. I'm not sure. Jamie can tell me if Bradley Roberts was injured pre-Six Nations. Was he injured pre-Six Nations?
Yeah, he's been injured for a little while.
He's a Dragons player, of course he is.
Oh yeah, all right, stupid thing. But you've right, and this is not me advocating for an Ospreys player, right? Because the only other two hookers you could have called up, right? Liam Belcher. Now, unfortunately, Liam Belcher's been brilliant all season. His darts haven't been amazing, but he's also too small, and he's been getting bullied in a pack that gets bullied, more than a ginger kid with glasses, right? But the other option is Sam Parry. Yes, he's 32, but if he's going to be a third choice hooker, that's going to get 15 minutes against France and Italy. There are worse options to do. Fuck it, I'll even take give me Sean Evans at Scarlet. So don't put a converted 8 who has never started a game of rugby in his life in that squad. And he hasn't even played since Christmas, right? Again, we bring up our friend from Twitter, the Cardiff fan, right? He's absolutely right in what he's saying. He hasn't played a game since Christmas. He didn't play that Leinster game, and he should have. Oh, it's so frustrating. And you're just sat there like, this can be easily avoided if you just stop blooding youth for the sake of it, because fucking Sean Holly's going to call you out on Scrum 5 or something. Just, go on, Harley. I'm going to swear.
Yeah, sorry, because I can see you're about to explode, and so this is the part where I'm sure all the listeners are waiting for the Cardiff fan to say that the Ospreys fans Stratton is shit. But I agree everything James has said. Evan Lloyd. So when with like Ireland and England in the past, they have an apprenticeship player. That's basically what Evan Lloyd was in the squad for. But because of the sort of pressure to have the smaller squad, he's been called up as an out-and-out third choice. And that was purely as a developmental thing. I don't think Gatlin had any intention, and it was the same with Archie Griffin, I don't think he had any intention of playing those two players. Archie Griffin got injured on his first cap because he's not had enough rugby. Evan Lloyd didn't get injured, but I don't think he did badly. But I don't think. I mean, let's be fair. When all those subs came on, I think it fair on. But you're right. Evan Lloyd's not played enough rugby. You know, he probably was about a season off playing for Cardiff. Really, realistically, I said I've already replugged the referee's interview, but you know, even he's saying he probably needed a few more months at the Rags, just getting used to the game and his thing.
Especially
and his bench appearances for Cardiff have been good. They've been all right. I think he actually, of all the lineups he's done, he's only had one absolute howler, which is probably on a par with the howler on the France game. But it was too soon. With Winner, you could, you know, I feel like you should at least concede that he's in the conversation. He's been the form fullback in Wales. Alex Mann has been one of the form sixes in Wales. So their selections make sense, despite their young age. Martin with the genetic freak thing, and also I feel like our back row stocks got deleted quite a bit. But yeah, I feel like if there was any doubt over Elias, we should have had someone like a Zamparian. Yes, he's a stationary object in the loose at times, but he's going to give you stability in the scrum. Yeah, as long as the person's in front of him, he'll tackle quite well. And when he does go for a little trundle, it's usually a positive carry. It might not make a lot of meters, but the ball's there, and it's a good enough carry that it doesn't take too much to get the ball back.
Okay, so
go on,
James, what were we going to say?
Well, just to add, completely agree. Sam Parry would have been the best backup option to have in the Wales squad. But also, if we're going down the youth route, and this is going to make me sound like a biased fan now, we could have looked at, in all seriousness, we could have looked at Brodie Cogman for the Dragons, right? Because he's a very talented guy. He's very physical, and he has started games for the Dragons. He's got more experience and more game time under his belt than Evan Lloyd. So I'm a bit surprised that Gatlin didn't look at it, but he probably did look at him because he plays for the Dragons. If he played for one of the other three, no doubt he'd be in the team. But that's another way he could have gone. No, I do. I agree. I do think if you played for any other region, you would get called up.
Okay. So James is trying to talk, but he hasn't worked out that he's on mute, and I quite like that because the throwing the arms in the air to that kind
I was just making the point. If you're going off that, Lewis Lloyd, Lewis Lloyd, yeah, he was at the 20s last when you mentioned him. He's in the same fucking squad as half the boys. You know, it was a left field pick when Gatlin chose him, right? And let's not forget, Dewi Lake was that player and travelled out to Ireland with the squad a couple of seasons ago. I'm not taking away the apprenticeship thing. I think it's great, but say he's a developmental player, say he's an apprenticeship player, call up a grizzled hooker, a third choice one, because otherwise we get into a position like we were on Sunday where you're having to bring on a child because of we can't forward plan.
So let me finish that bit off then by saying, regardless of whether we think it was the right thing to do or not, for the player, that's his first cap.
Oh,
yeah, exactly. Yeah. We're not saying anything about the player. You know, like we said before, every single one of us would give all but one body part to have had a single cap. So the fact that he's been there and done it, you know, fair play to the boy. He's got it, and nobody can take that away from him. But it's that system of throwing him in a bit too soon because we don't know what else to do. That's the gist of it. We just didn't have it in our head that actually we need 3 experienced hookers, and somebody might get injured. So that's it. It's not about the player. It's about the system that puts the player in that position on that. Okay, so let's move on to Wales France. So I'm gonna put my hand up here and let everyone know that I was a good boy on Sunday. I was told in no uncertain terms that the television was not going on.
So the television went on.
The television wasn't on Sunday. I've seen a couple of highlights on Twitter. So I haven't actually seen the game. I saw the Max Boyce bit before kickoff. I saw that on YouTube. What did you boys make of that?
I don't know what it was, but there was something about listening to it, and part of me just went, oh, we're going to lose badly now because there's this big thing digging up how bad France have been. They're gonna have a performance.
As much as I love Max Boyce,
I like the new. He's definitely not as chipper and doesn't have the Hewley he used to have, does he?
Well, what I was going to say, as much as I love Max Boyce, and I was watching in a pub, so I didn't get to hear all the lyrics. I just thought it's a little bit cringy. Why did we need an updated version of Hymn Scenarios for that particular game? Have I missed something? Why did that happen? Is it the anniversary of the song or something? Why do we feel the need to pull that out? I genuinely think it's.
Sorry, James, didn't want to overtalk you because don't want to overtalk you.
Quite right too, Harley. You're very rude. Yeah, quite right.
I generally think it's because the WRU have no idea how else to try and get public on board and get them singing.
Strange though.
I genuinely don't think the WRU know what to do with fans to encourage them. I think it's that. I think they are just generally that stuck that they think the same shit that's worked for the 70s, 80s, 90s will work now.
I think the thing is, though, even with Max Boyce, you still got to book him 12, 18 months ahead. Do you know what I mean? It's not like, do you know what we'll do? We'll get Max Boyce in for this weekend. So I think somebody said it was 20 years of something, but I can't remember what.
So but that'd be a reason.
It's the 25th anniversary of the stadium, is what it is.
Right, okay. Yeah. 80 years old as well, Max Boyce. Looks very good for his age. I will give him that.
So that that performance, right? If I go through I got some of my records right in front of me now. so we start off with Tom Jones' greatest hits. Start on that. Phonics album, great.
Good album.
Top Gun soundtrack, classic. Another Phonics album, good album. Underrated.
Album, it is a fantastic album. Sorry, I just have a
Sweet Inspiration, Still Black.
Still Black.
Yeah.
Right. Okay.
I can't talk. Last album I listened to has been Hotel soundtrack.
And then finally we come to Max Boyce, Live at Triochi. And I
album.
When I listen to this album, got to be about once every 2 weeks, right? When I'm playing the records. And I saw that on Sunday, and I was traveling back from South London, and I just felt sad. It was fucking awful. I thought it was. He was reading it off some pieces of paper, which he'd clearly done on the fucking train from Triochi to Cardiff in the morning. Right. In a smart, if this was like Amaro Heed now and it was that bloke who does the Wales games, he would have found a way to weave in the fact that the WRU were a bunch of snivelling arseholes and who were living off, the fucking pensions of miners from since the 70s. But no, what does he do instead? He calls out the fact that Delilah's been banned and just pointless other stupid little stereotypes that haven't been relevant since the 80s. And I'm sat here, right, as a 26-year-old rugby fan who's, going to be around for a good couple of years, I hope, watching rugby. I'm like, we're still fucking going on about Max Boyce, and we're still going on about smoking fags in the middle of pubs with the bloke from the Dordogne, and I just thought it was fucking awful, and it was cringy. And Max, I love you, and I will continue to listen to Live at Triochi and then Sweet Inspiration by Cilla. But please don't do that again.
Cilla.
So that Triochi album that's the live one, isn't it?
That's Live at Triochi.
Yes.
Yeah.
Because genuinely, my dad had that album, mate. So I'm old enough to be your dad, and my dad had that album. Yeah. So that's a little bit kind of concerning that that's what you're listening to.
Let me grab.
Oh, he's put himself on
mute. He's so excited he's muted himself.
He's getting all.
I will say quickly in defence of James before he pops back on. One of the things in the Squiz Rugby video is he pointed out like how Max Boyce has managed to transcend so many generations because a lot of the songs talk about struggles that are relevant in day-to-day life. Unfortunately, that's not what he did with this remake of Hymn Scenarios.
We got Queen here, Bohemian Rhapsody, and I'm in love
you
with
know,
my
we're
car.
going.
Oh, we still go for your fucking record collection, now,
We
are we?
got,
This is a
You're
rugby
the
pod.
youngest one of us. You're the oldest.
1999, Les Miserables is not recording. Featuring
Yeah.
Matthew Bowe, Michael
My
Ball,
son's got that one. Yeah.
Simon and Garfunkel, Bridge Over Troubled Water.
My mum had
Great
that
Have you got
one.
any status quo? Got any status
I
quo?
haven't actually.
Iron
But we have
Maiden?
got Wham.
Oh, for fuck's sake. Oh, bit of Wham. Can't beat a bit of Wham.
We've also got Jesus Christ Superstar.
Oh, I'm going to watch
a
that
rock
in a couple of months.
A rock opera by Andrew Lillebrand and Tim Rice. And then finally, 20 Welsh male voice choir favourites.
Oh, for fuck's sake.
Oh
This isn't
my
Desert
God.
Island Discs, is it?
Yeah.
Fucking hell. Come on, let's get on
You
with
do
it.
to not talk about this game.
Yeah,
Oh
I don't
my
want to talk
God.
about the France game, Joe. Admit
I'm
it,
so-
this is more entertaining.
Do you know what? I thought I'll just drop this in at the start because that's the one bit I've seen of the game, and I'm almost regretting it. I should have missed that bit and the rest of the game. So
You can get more of this on the Ospreys Irish podcast. Listen to
This is what the pod's going to be, isn't it? It's going to be Guess James's record collection and Max and how many lyrics of Max Boyce can you recite?
So anyway, Jamie, you appear to be the only sane one left that's actually watched the game. So what?
I don't know about that.
What
You watched
did
the game, that's not sanity.
Yeah.
Well, I watched the game, yeah.
What did you make of the game, mate?
Oh, look. I was very concerned beforehand about how Wales were going to cope with the power and the scrums, etc. And the answer is we didn't cope very well at all. I thought for the first 60 minutes, we actually put in a really good effort. The first half was encouraging. It was clear that defence was optional at times during this game. But the first half, I think France were like 3 points ahead and I felt that we were very much in the game. Rio Dyer scored a really good try, very opportunistic try, really good finish. Owen Watkin, excellent work to set up Thomas Williams. I thought Owen Watkin had an excellent game. I think that's probably his best game for Wales. But I mean, after we scored that try, Joe Roberts, who I'm glad he scored that because he did blatantly ignore a two-man overlap. And if he bollocksed up that try, they would have been held to pay. So a little bit greedy from Roberts, but he did just about get over the line. After that, then it was just one-way traffic from France, and it was power, power, power. And we just couldn't cope. You know, our scrum was going backwards at the rate of knots. The guys they're bringing off the bench, I mean, you can understand why they went for that 6-2 split because it was pretty clear that they were looking to overpower us. I mean, they were bringing off guys that were like 20 stone plus, you know, and you just look at the caliber of players. They got Antonio, Mifu, Tulifarawa. I mean, these guys are massive. They're absolutely massive. And we just haven't got that caliber of player in the Wales squad. And it was just very difficult to try and contain our power. And what James said earlier, I did think in parts we did defend well, but it was just wave after wave after wave of power and attack, and something had to give. And it is a shame those last 20 minutes, because if you think about it, I think after 16 minutes, we were still in the lead. But after the first 60 minutes, then France scored 25 unanswered points. And I do think the scoreline is a little bit unfair on Wales, but the power off their bench, you know, their replacements made the difference. And ours didn't, unfortunately. I have to say, I thought the decision to take off Thomas Williams to Stam Costello after 56 minutes was bonkers, because I thought Thomas Williams had a very good game. Gareth Davies, look, I think Gareth Davies has been a great player for Wales, but twice now in this tournament, he's made 2 appearances and he's been fucking abysmal. You know, and he was at fault for that charge down kick. Ioan Lloyd, a talented player, but he looked like a rabbit in headlights, I'm afraid. We lost all control and direction when those 2 guys went off. And I just thought it was silly to take them off after 56 minutes. But yeah, I think the game went as expected. You know, we was always going to struggle to cope with the power that France brought. But yeah, I do think the scoreline's a little bit unfair. But unfortunately, it's another defeat for Wales, isn't it? And it's hard to know where we go from here, really. But yeah, pretty disappointing, but predictable, I suppose, because we always knew France were going to come here and overpower us.
Okay. So, James, you're going to have to wait till last because I know what's coming from you. So, Harley, a little bit of sense about the... Don't give me that or I'll put you at the back of the class and you'll have to do lines.
Read my record collection.
So I'm gonna try and talk a few positives. I'm gonna try and pick up. So first of all, one of the biggest issues we've all collectively as a pod and many other fans have had with Wales is our conversion rate in the 22. That was excellent. So we were averaging 5.2 points every time we went into the 22. France on 3.2, which is still good because it's basically you're getting over a score every game. The problem is we let France have 3 times as many 22 entries as we had. So no wonder we're going to be stressed. But actually, if you look in defence, we made a lot more dominant shots, but then we had to make more shots. I thought the centre partnership, both sides of the ball, Watkin and Roberts, not perfect, but I thought it looked a lot better. I think actually it looks a lot more balanced. So both centres are able to do a bit of distribution, a bit more carrying. The defensive just seems to work. You can tell they're basically the two who've been training when Tompkins has to go back to Saracens. So I quite like that. I know people have moaned about Adams. I thought actually it was one of his better games, but still not brilliant. It's still not peak Adams. The problem is I don't think we've got anyone really to bring on. Jamie's right. We shouldn't have left those halfbacks on as long as possible because they were actually giving us game control. A few things didn't go to hand, but actually had, like a Joe Roberts or Costello kick hadn't gone out on the fall, then you've got a good thing. I thought the line-out worked really well, both particularly defensively. The 3 locks worked into that aspect. But otherwise, it's things like, Will Rowlands was brought on for his carrying. Didn't really do it. One thing I do want to bring up, though, is from Catboy, because if there's no Scarlet Fever pod, so he's not going to have his chance to say this. So he's been moaning for a while about Gatland's idea of trying to tire out the opposition team and then making the most of the dogged legs. That both worked and backfired catastrophically. So it worked for that last sort of 10, 15 minutes in the first half and the first 10, basically until France brought on their big bomb squad bench. At that point then, they were the fresh legs running at knackered legs because we basically had Paul Davies Jenkins, who'd did his first professional start of blindside, made 26 tackles, one of them dominant. His usual work rate on attacking rucks. And then 70 minutes, they take off Will Rowlands, and he's now got to go into the second row to push against the relatively fresh French pack. This is where we backfired. If we're going to play three second rows from the start, you still need a second row on the bench because the amount of work those 3 were going through, they're not going to be able to hold up against the scrum when the French pressure. So although it's stabilised, I know Azarati had a very hard time, basically just the sheer mass that was coming towards them. But this is where Gatland needs to get us. We need to start doing a 6-2 if we're going to try and tire out other teams, because we're running out. Our legs are running out just as the other opposition have brought new players on.
And our legs are smaller.
Otherwise, we've got to find a more efficient way of considering, and that is we need to find someone who can boot the ball for 50 yards every time.
Okay, so the rest of us are going to sit back for a couple of minutes and listen to James, and off you go, son. Go on, crack on.
I don't know what you expected me to say. I agree with everyone else. I actually thought Wales played really well up until we took off the halfbacks.
Yeah.
I don't know, Costello wasn't perfect, but he was growing into that game, and I do fully believe that Costello has a future at 10 for Wales. He's maybe not improving as much as I would like him to at the rate I'd like him to, but he's got all the raw talents to be like, yeah, this is the future of the Wales 10. Well, I say that when Dan Edwards comes through, Costello on the bench, but that's a different story. No, but seriously, they were controlling the game well. I think having a sensible 12 outside Costello really helped him, and you could see that for Thomas Williams' try. So that try is made because Dav Jenkins runs a lovely blocker line. Watkin, who has had that step in his locker for years and was great when he first came onto the scene. And his offloading game is excellent as well. I thought Watkin, that was a redemption game for Watkin for me.
He was very good. Very, very good.
back to what the form he was showing when Wales won at the 2019 Grand Slam and sort of that bit before. It'll shock you, but I thought Joe Roberts on the whole had a positive game. I agree. If he didn't score that try, we'd be having a very different conversation, I tell you right now. Oh, absolutely. I would have been unbearable. You are so lucky he scored that try. And originally I thought he was going to be done with a double movement because I thought he got back up and put that ball down. But I think he got injured early on, rolled his ankle, and I don't think he ever fully recovered. And I thought it was a weird decision to take him off and put Grady on. When they did, I would have said you would have taken Adams off and just have Grady there. But Roberts clearly wasn't fully fit. I do think that we're not going to get into George North stuff. I think he was worse than George North defensively overall. But that comes with experience, and that comes with he's really good at the scramble defense, but that's mainly because he's been doing it all season. Right? You get good at something when you do it a lot. The Dragons have always had fantastic scramble defense, but that's because someone's made a line break. They're very good at when you've been doing something a lot, you do get used to it. I actually thought the front row held up relatively well. They didn't get dominated. They got dominated in the fact that scrum was going backwards, but it wasn't like a yellow card job or anything like that we've seen. What we've seen can happen. I thought that first scrum penalty was not a penalty. I thought Winnie Antonio broke his mind. And then halfbacks. Gareth Davis, I've said, is he got a future in a Wales jersey? Don't think so. He reminds me a lot now of how Rhys Webb was after he came back from the Lions tour. Largely ineffective in what he does, with a good tan. That box kick was inexcusable. Not just the fact that he didn't get blocker in, right? I can understand that. But if you look at the execution of a block of that kick, he kicks it low against a 6'8" fucking monster. Like, he clearly didn't get the Davis family brain cell on Sunday. He clearly left it with his mum. And then Yohan Lloyd, I just thought there was no control there. Like, you thought, oh shit, Yohan Lloyd's actually going to kick, and he puts a bomb up and it's 10 metres too far. And all of a sudden, any kick to compete is gone. I question Gatland's tactics. But the ranty gets out of the way. When Wales put the ball through the hands, I thought Alex King really showed his worth, and you saw what is actually missing from that Wales team. And I do think it's that all-rounder 12. I think Hadley Parks was in this Alex King attack. God, you'd see improvements. Because at the minute, we've got Tompkins, who just thrives on chaos. And we don't want that. We want structure.
Okay, so let me ask you this then. So there were a couple of comments that I saw on Twitter and Facebook and all that kind of stuff. So one of them was, enough's enough. This was the wrong choice. Gatland out. So thoughts on that as an option going forward?
Jamie, what do you think about that?
Well, I hate Warren Gatland, apparently, according to one wannabe journalist on X.
Well, hang on, because you don't even have a name. You're the Dragons guy. Guy from the Dragons. So
contributor, I think he said, wasn't it?
Yeah, the Dragons contributor.
The Dragons contributor, yeah.
I didn't even get that, mate. I was some guy. I'm not even the Scarlets guy, so at least you had a team, yeah?
At least I had a title, yeah. Gatland's going nowhere. However, I think it's fine to question his decisions. As much as you slag him off, Lee, George North was badly missed, because we're talking about players who can carry the ball, who are physical, and can front up the France. Yet we didn't select one of our most physical players. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I thought Joe Roberts did okay. I thought he did fine. Yeah, he was defensively naive at times, but this is his first cap, isn't it? So what do you expect? I thought it was a bit bonkers leaving George North out for this game. I got to be honest. And the decision to take off the halfbacks, as I mentioned, I thought that was a mistake. It's perfectly fine to criticise Gatland while saying that, yeah, I do support Warren Gatland and I don't think he should go anywhere because we haven't got the money to pay him off now anyway. You know, and I think Warren Gatland is the right man to lead this rebuild. But that doesn't mean I can't be critical of him either. So I understand the frustration, but in terms of Warren Gatland going anywhere, no, of course he's not. And even if we win the Witherspoon, he's still not going to go anywhere because we haven't got the money to pay him off anymore. And who else is going to come in now? Who are the alternatives? You know, when you say to people, okay, Gatland goes, who do you bring in? Most of them go,
Dwayne Peel.
There must be someone up there. Di Flanagan. I mean, you know, let's not be silly about it. So, yeah. I mean, come on. There's no credible alternative out there at the moment, is there? So we're with Gatland now. We're on this rebuilding project, but I haven't necessarily agreed with a lot of his decisions and some of the stuff he said since he's come back to Wales. But do I think he's the right man to lead us forward? Yeah, I do, because I don't see any other credible alternative.
Okay. So, right, I know I'm going to regret asking this. Does anybody else want to pitch in with anything about the Wales game before we move on?
Yes, I do. I just want to give a shout out to Elliot D. It was his 50th cap. Played incredibly well, as he always does. Elliot never lets the Dragons down. He never lets Wales down. And look, I don't want to see players getting injured. I'm going to sound like a bit of a twat for saying this, but I was kind of glad Elias pulled out because it felt fitting that Elliot should start on his 50th cap. You know, I thought it was a bit harsh to drop him, so I'm glad he started. He had a very good game, and a shout out to him because I thought he played incredibly well. Okay. That's it for me.
Cool.
All I want to counter that with is just be careful if you're starting someone just because it's a big set anniversary cap, as I alluded to with 2 years ago against Italy. One thing I do want to shout out though is considering how utterly shambolic it's been all season, the Six Nations far, France's discipline was unbelievably good on the weekend, and that's
three penalties.
We didn't really get in. Yeah, 3 penalties, and like the last one was like just the thing. And the only other thing I will add is part of the problem with bringing youth in for youth's sake. You could see that with a lot of the decision making, and I can't believe it, but that game made me agree with Jiffy. There were far too many floaty balls across defenders, and it just allowed the French team to drift when they were like gaps you should have run at. I won't pick on him. The other thing I say is I don't think the 3 locks actually worked that well. I don't think that game would have gone that much worse if you started Alex Mann and had a second row on the bench to bring on some physicality. I think you're still looking at David Jenkins and Alex Mann making all those tackles. It didn't actually add that much extra physicality. The scrum would have still been pushed backwards.
I think in principle it works.
It works, but I think you had the wrong bench then for it because you couldn't carry on that physicality.
As I've said, and I will continue to say on X, Will Rowlands is not the Messiah, right? He was brought in to be this carrying physical presence. Yet, like I don't know what everyone else was expecting, but 12 carries for 11 meters is not fucking. I carried more than that, and I can't carry for shit. Right?
I made 3 meters off one carry, on the weekend, and I'm I'm 99 kilos, but it's all fat. Let's be realistic.
I can't resist doing this. So James, do that line again. Then tell me about. Will
I know
Rowlands.
What's coming.
Yeah, you know
what's thinking coming. Exactly the same.
Are you going to do a Monty Python joke?
Yes. Just say he's not the Messiah, James. Again.
I'm wearing the wrong bloody t-shirt.
Will Rowlands is not the Messiah.
He's a very naughty boy.
Pathetic. Grow up the lot of you. But yeah, I did think it's actually.
I'd like to point out Teddy Williams has been a far more effective carry on his.
Right, let's go back to the records. Right, let's go back to the B-side Cilla Black Sweet Inspiration.
Let's move on to Fantasy League. So who's actually got Fantasy League?
I've got it. It's me. Yeah. So to surprise no one, my tactic of ignoring my fantasy team until Sunday when I forget about it is backfiring. Surprisingly though, everyone played bar Basolo Tuilagi. Oh no, and Tuapolotu. I think. No, I had 3 that didn't play. So actually, my squad is still sustainable. In terms of rankings, though, Wooden Spoon contenders have gone to the top. They're on 1,601 points. Climbers this week, Morgan Dobbin goes up to 4th. Gareth Ward jumps 8 places up to 5th. Ataf Insanity jumps 13 places. Dav Hatley jumps 10 to 9th. And then all the way down to 24th is me. I drop 8 places. What are you again, Lee?
I'm in 26th, mate. I'm those chaps in shorts.
Oh, you've jumped up 8 places. Fair.
Okay, not so bad.
Jamie, where are you?
He's about 12th.
I'm 12th.
Yeah.
I'm 12th, I am, boy. Not bad.
Yeah, Jamie, you jumped 6 places. Fair play.
Yeah.
Let's go on. Let's go on Carwin Watch. 38. He has jumped up 2 places. I'll give that to
I was going to say, he's climbed. He's climbed.
Yeah.
Carvin.
He'll be delighted, won't he?
Yeah, fair
Right.
play.
Okay, so we're going into the final round. So who's top of the table and going into the final round?
So top of the table going to the final round are Wooden Spoon contenders.
Okay. How ironic is
who are top round 3 as well. So I think now it's all to play for with the top 4. The top 4 there's 25 points between the top 4 and.
Okay, so read out the top 4, because what we said was whoever wins our fantasy league team, we'll invite them on like the week after or whatever, and just have a chat. So who's in that top 4? Who's
currently we've got Wooden Spoon contenders.
Mm-hmm.
Ivan, Josh L, and Morgan Dobbin.
Right.
And shout out to Gareth Ward as well, but he doesn't look like he's going to make it.
Okay. So if that's any of your team, if you're listening and that's your team, then drop us a line and just let us know so that we can get hold of you at some point. Because I said we'd do that last year and nobody actually got in touch.
We're not inviting Morgan Dobbin on because his super sub was Gareth Davis, and anyone who puts Gareth Davis as a super sub should not be allowed an opinion.
That's a bad choice of super sub, isn't it?
and he's to be fair, he's still significantly higher than all of us boys. So right. So before we talk about our best 15, Harley, what were you gonna do with you wanted to play a game?
So basically I wanted to get people to guess. So this is the Six Nations with since Gatland first took over with the most debutants with 5. Right. In 2020 and 2012 there were 3 each, and those are the next 2. Can you name any of those 6 players?
Right. So what year? So 2020 and
2012. No. So 2012 is the Grand Slam year with Gatland. 2020 is the COVID year with. Sorry, actually, 2020 technically is 4 because there was a debut. So for a bonus point, there's a debut for that sort of Scotland game that ended up towards the end.
So he's gone on. He's hidden his cat. He's like researching on Google now.
I picked up a pen off the floor, you old fuck.
Ah, you're cheating. You are. So the obvious one for that Scotland game was Will Griff-John that didn't actually make it half an hour before the game and all that kind of stuff. Who actually made it onto the pitch?
Will Griff-John didn't actually make his debut until the autumn of 2021.
Yeah, he was selected for that Scotland game. Was afterwards, but he was selected for it and pulled out half an hour before kickoff.
Was it Johan Lloyd who made his debut?
Johan Lloyd, I can tell you now, made his debut in the Autumn Nations Cup for 2020.
Not Johan Lloyd.
2012 then would have been.
2012 would have then been Morgan Stoddart. Or had he retired by this point?
No, it wasn't Morgan Stoddart.
No, because he got injured before the World Cup. He got injured in the warm-up game going into the World Cup, didn't he? Yeah.
Ryan Bevington.
So Ryan Bevington was the summer of 2011.
Fuck!
Was 2012 Ken Owens?
So I'll tell you now, Ken Owens was So thanks. This came from Ruspetti, but Ken Owens wasn't the 2012 Six Nations.
Okay, go on then.
I'll tell you. Well, let's just check them through names. I'll see if I can find him.
No, it wasn't.
Ken Owens, sorry, was he made his debut in the Rugby World Cup of 2011.
Did he?
Not even the warm up, in the actual World Cup.
Wow, I did not remember.
Dragon's Lock.
Will Rowlands, you're off your head.
Oh, back in 2012. Got diagnosed with CTE. No, got diagnosed with CTE recently.
Coombs.
I'll tell you now, for 2012,
Coombs.
there is a Scarlet's 6-lock hybrid, an Osprey's 9.
Aaron Shingler.
So Aaron Shingler.
Yeah. Aaron Shingler. And then I believe he was Dragon's Lock. Jamie can correct me if it's not, but he shares a surname with a current Dragon's 10.
Lou Reed.
But yeah, it's all right, because there's one left. I'm surprised you don't know the 9, because he's one of your favouriteest players at 9.
Tom Haberfield.
No, Tom
Jamie
Haberfield
Nutbrown?
never won a yellow Wales cap.
Jamie Nutbrown.
No.
Is it Gareth Davis?
Osprey's lock. Sorry, Osprey's scrum half.
Oh, it was Reece Webb.
Yeah.
Fuck, was it that late? I thought Reece Webb was before that.
Yeah, Reece Webb made his debut in the 2012 Six Nations.
He was busy getting his tan done, mate.
So the 2020.
2020. Ooh.
I'll tell you now, 2 of these players are in the current Wales squad. 2 have dropped out.
Wyn Jones.
Tom Rogers.
Wyn Jones was made his name in like the 2019. So Tom Rogers isn't in. Tom Rogers has not played a. So when I say dropped out, is they were in this 2020 squad, but they're not in the Wales squad now. Tom Rogers made his debut in that weird summer tour where we went to Argentina in Cardiff.
No, it wasn't Josh McLeod because he didn't get his. Oh no, was it Josh McLeod?
No, Josh McLeod didn't make his debut. When did he make it? I'm sorry. Josh McLeod made him in that awful autumn that we don't talk about in 2022. But he was in the squad.
Right, I've had enough.
Squad and injured, as per.
I'm
Johnny
Googling
McNichol,
it.
yep.
Yeah, McNichol.
He's Googling it. Look at him.
We've spoken about
Yes, he's Googling it.
I am.
So both of these players, so one player's played for Cardiff. So he was the one who got
Jared.
brought in.
No. Sheedy.
No, Sheedy was the autumn of 2020. So again, in that awkward, I get what you're seeing because we had like a game against France, then we had the Six Nations in the ANC. So these 2 players have both played for the Dragons, but don't play for them anymore. And are 2.
Matthew Screech.
You'd argue.
Leon Brown.
Matthew Screech.
Jonah Holmes.
No, Rowlands. Will Rowlands got to be one.
Will Rowlands is one.
Jonah Holmes.
Corey Hill.
No, Jonah Holmes was like pre-2019.
No, Corey Hill.
What position?
They've made their debuts in 2020 now. So don't think of anyone who went to the 2019 World Cup would help.
Give us a clue then. What position was it? If he played for the Dragons?
It was a centre.
Tompkins.
Yep.
I said Tompkins.
I never heard you say Tompkins.
Yes, I did.
I didn't
Too busy
say
shouting over
Tompkins.
each other. You're supposed to let the door on, James. And then the last player to make his debut was Shane Lewis Hughes.
God, do you remember him?
I do. Just before he had 3 years of just constant injuries.
Should we call this section University Challenged?
Universally challenged.
Yeah. Right. So before we finish off tonight, then we're going to introduce like one new kind of game that we kind of played last Friday because we were bored. Is what it was on Twitter. So every Friday from now on, we're going to choose, or we're going to throw out there our best 15 of something, and Harley's going to run this because I can't be asked. So last Friday was best 15 under 15 caps. So the best under 15 is 15. So I really should, if I'd have thought about this a bit more, I kind of wrote them down as they were coming in, but we had players such as my favourite Talselli, which is where we started. Chris Horsman was a good call.
Better pundit than he is player. Better pundit than he was a player.
Yeah, he was a good coach. Phil John. Then we had this whole debate around, how far back do we go and professionalism and all of that kind of stuff. So that went on for a while. Perigo
Chico
was
Hopkins was a good one.
yeah, but you could go back. Roland Phillips, Mark Perigo. Does anyone remember Perigo playing? Anyone ever watch him? Guy was an art.
Dan Evans at 15.
Hang on. So Perigo tackled Rob Andrews, in Twickenham, and he hit Rob Andrews so hard he knocked his contact lens out. Yeah, Rob Andrews got up from the tackle and had to look for his contact lens. Vernon Cooper, Chief. Now there was some debate around Chief as to whether or not Chief actually played for Cardiff. Well, I know he coached Cardiff. Did he play for Cardiff at the start? Because I remember there being a big fuss. Or did he play for the Warriors and then refused to play for Cardiff? There was a little bit of stuff around that. So anyway, it went on and on. Jason Jones-Hughes. Anyone remember Jason Jones-Hughes? Yeah, that was a fucking debacle and a half. That was Jared Evans, obviously, Dan Evans.
Actually, Beck, I'm going to throw into there.
And then someone threw in Clive Burgess from Evervale. I don't think they really got the hang of what we were doing on that one. Morgan
Corey
Scarlett.
Allen for me.
How many has Halahalo had?
Halahalo?
Not that many at all, actually. It's definitely under 50.
I want to say 8.
Yeah, that sounds about right.
He's got 5 caps, Halahalo.
Adam Warren made 1 cap for Wales.
Yeah. Andrew Bishop.
We could do a fantastic one of just 1 cappers.
Matthew Screech. He's a 1 capper.
Kirby Myhill.
No, we're right. Lads, we say good players.
I was saying of just 1 cappers.
I mean, it wasn't as hotly debated as our Ginger 15 was, because there were several players in the Ginger 15 where we weren't actually sure if they were ginger or bald or blonde. So So Harley, this is your little baby from now on. So what will this Friday's best 15 be then, mate?
So I'm thinking, just because it's silly, I would like to do the best 15 of first name, last names. For example, where someone's last name is basically a first name. So Thomas Francis or Ewan Lloyd, for example.
Yeah. Okay. So we'll keep the powder dry for that one for Friday. So put your thinking caps on and get ready, because we'll put that out on Friday morning. And we'll have to coordinate it. We'll have to actually write stuff down and plan stuff for next week, because that one could go crazy. Right. So with that in mind then, gents, thank you for your company this week. I have to say, not watching the game. Oh, go on. What now? Go on.
Sorry, just one more thing. I just want to do a shameless plug. So we're going to be we're going to be interviewing David Allen, who's the supporters representative to the Cardiff Rugby Board. So if anyone listening wants to ask any questions about that, feel free to contact the Cardiff Central podcast or myself. Or if you really want to annoy Lee and Jamie, keep messaging them.
Yeah, don't do that. No, don't do that. So Jamie, are you recording this week?
No, we are recording next week.
Okay. We're having a week off as well. So James, you're recording this week, aren't you?
We are indeed. It should be back up to full numbers this week. We will be looking at, I know for a fact, we'll be in Good Player. We'll be looking at Ospreys versus Stade Francais in 2017, the one that got away, our best chance at silverware, and we pissed it up the fucking wall.
Okie dokie. So you've
on that note.
So thanks, boys. You just reminded me of that. Now I'm depressed.
You've got a Cardiff pod.
Sweet Inspiration there by Sweet Cilla Blair.
a Cardiff pod, an Ospreys pod, and I think the Welsh boys are recording this week for those of you blessed with God's tongue. So yeah, plenty to look forward to this week, and we will all be back next week ready for URC and such like. So yeah, I have to say, not actually watching the Wales game has put me in a lot better frame of mind for the week. I've missed a lot of negativity over the weekend. So, yeah, no doubt we'll be back to normal when I watch the Italy game this weekend. Gentlemen, thank you very much for your time. If you want to watch us on YouTube, you can. Please like and subscribe. My Beyonce dance is dying to get out and do a bit of a showing. So 200 subscriptions on YouTube, and the Beyonce dance will be unleashed. Listen to us on all your favorite podcast channels. Please do like and share and do all of the usual shit that makes people happy, because it makes us happy. But on that note, gents, have a good one. Enjoy your rugby. We'll catch up and do it all again next week. All the very best. Toodle pips.
Take care, everybody. Bye.
No start.